I didn't really quite get what I was hoping for last night. Last night was a Buccaneers victory, 19-17, but it wasn't a ruthless dissection of the Patriots defense that I was hoping for. It wasn't a 21-28 point blowout victory laugher where Tom Brady rides off the white horse looking gallant and heroic. It was kind of a sloppy game. And yeah, it was a Buccaneers win, but I don't think that Patriots fans leave last night feeling totally torn up and heartbroken and miserable. You know, the game itself kind of squeezed the life out of the night. And I felt as though Tom Brady, who has always been so good at controlling his emotions, never too low, but also capturing the fire and the intensity, he didn't have it last night. Having watched Brady for 20 years, rooting against him for most of those years, I know how the game plan goes. I know how the night goes. I know how the blueprint goes. There's some point in time in that game, second quarter, third quarter, certainly fourth quarter, where it's, okay, go time. He's on the sidelines and he throws off the jacket or he throws on the helmet and he screams at somebody and he walks onto that field and there's a look and you go, uh-oh, we're screwed. He's done that for 20 years. The uh-oh, we're screwed look from Tom Brady. When he takes the field and he's just a little bit more hyper, energetic, focused, there's just a sharpness about him. And he's yelling, he's gesticulating, he's got his shoulders going. There's always that moment. He's grabbing Gronk and he's yelling in his face. He's grabbing Amendola or Welker. He's doing something with his offensive linemen or his running backs, and he's slamming them on the shoulder pads. And he's like, this is the moment. Here we go. Brady's most common refrain in his career is, let's go. Let's go. He never did it last night. I kept waiting for it. I'm like, this is your moment. You're back at Gillette. There's the hoodie that lets you go across the sidelines from you. You're in a one-score game. Where is the here's the Brady cut your heart out drive where he surgically removes your spleen? Where is that? And it never happened last night, and it was so bizarre. And the rain can't help. And I'm sure the Patriots defense, if there was a tell, if there was a shade, if there was a way, a tool in the toolbox for Belichick to discombobulate Brady, Belichick would know it. That defensive staff would know it. They practiced against Brady for how many years? But I thought last night, Brady, for the first time perhaps ever, was overwhelmed by the emotion of the day, of the night, of the moment. Now, that's very unfootball-y, and you'll hear all the football reasons why it didn't work last night, I'm sure, throughout the day. I just felt like Brady looks glassy-eyed. He looks I don't want to say disinterested. It wasn't disinterested. But it was slightly detached from the whole thing. And I was watching pregame, and Brady's in the tunnel, and he sees Robert Kraft. And he comes over to Robert Kraft. Kraft comes over to him, and Robert Kraft holds out his hand for a handshake. And Brady comes in for a hug. And they hug. Last night was like maybe the first time you come back to college and you're on campus after you graduate. Maybe it was if you get divorced, your first time back in the house after you've spent some time away. Yesterday, perhaps it was going away to college and coming back and living at home again. Something was wrong with Brady last night emotionally. I just think it was overwhelming. And You know, when Brady said after the game, this is a great place, it's a great region, it has great people, you have to remember that even though Tom Brady removed himself physically from New England and went to Tampa Bay, you have 20 years of relationships in all of the corners of last night. You know, you land on that tarmac, and you've now flown over Boston and New England, something that you remember doing for 20 years. And you leave the tarmac wherever the teams fly into. And, you know, the people at the gate or the people at the desk or the people that grab the luggage or what have you that help the teams off the flight, those are all the same people. It's only been a year and a half. And he, you know, gets up to the stadium, and the people that open up that tunnel at Gillette and the equipment guys and the turf guys, the people that paint the fields and the scoreboard operators and the chain gang guys, and all those people are still the same. And you look in the front row and the season ticket holders and the guys that are dressed as Colonial Musket guys, they're all the same guys. And you look up at that stadium and nothing's changed. They didn't add a new banner without you. It's all your banners. And you look at the opposing sideline, and that was your sideline, and that's your blue, and that's your silver, and those are your helmets, and that's your logo, and that's your coach and coaches, but it's not you. It's got to be an out-of-body experience. And I just thought last night he was never in the football of it. I mean, frankly, that's one of the 2 or 3 worst quarterback games that he's had in Tampa, and a bottom 5, bottom 10 of the last 10 years, you could argue. The ball is fluttering. It's sailing out of bounds. It's in the turf. He's all over the place. The 1 or 2 big plays they created and pulled back because of penalty. The big throw downfield to Antonio Brown called back because of the hands at the face mask of his left tackle. The Bucs were never in sync. He was never in rhythm. Maybe no Gronk was a big factor. Collinsworth had brought that up. And I'm not sitting here telling you that Brady's some type of lesser human being or quarterback because of this. Not at all. He's the greatest quarterback of all time, and he has proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that he still had football left in him when the Patriots thought he didn't. And, hey, last night happens to everybody. I think it was just so clear to me that the emotion of the night overtook even the guy that was the greatest at putting his emotions away. All right, maybe if it's a perfect night and it's 68 degrees and not a cloud in the sky and a starry night and not a breeze to be had, maybe Brady slings it. Maybe if Gronk is healthy and there's no rain, maybe Brady goes, 27 to 32 for 328 yards and 3 touchdowns, no picks. And maybe it's an easy Bucs victory. Maybe the Gronk injury, maybe the weather, but I don't know. I was just shocked at how long kind of the torturous part of the game went for Brady. It was laborious. It was every time you're expecting, okay, this is the drive where they go down the field. It's not like you didn't have weapons. Mike Evans and Godwin, and those guys are good. Really good. And Antonio Brown proved that he's still got really good football left. Like, those are 3 great wide receivers. Leonard Fournette ran the football really well. I mean, when you don't even have to go to Jones, that's a good night on the ground. Brady couldn't ever shake the doldrums, the thriller video skeletons. And that to me is the biggest letdown of the night. It's not even about who wins or loses. Of course, I wanted the Buccaneers to win. But it was more about you just wanted to see Brady have this kind of like triumphant moment at Gillette. And I kept thinking, man, Brady's just got to be happy that this is a one-score game, that his defense keeps bailing him out. Because if you walk out of that stadium last night and you're Tom Brady, you can't feel like you contributed much to the win. I mean, mostly that was a field goal kicker in bad weather, a good running attack, and a good defensive night, and a missed field goal at the end by the Pats. I guarantee you, that's going to be one of the 3 worst games Brady plays this year. I don't know. It was very un-Brady-like last night.